And I commend you for clicking on this video. First of all, the world needs more jazz players. It's kind of a dying art form, so the more people I see getting involved, the happier I am. Obviously, I am very deep-rooted in jazz. I love jazz, and I play a lot of it. But as you guys know, I play a lot of other styles as well. I really listen to all kinds of music. I think a lot of people nowadays listen to all kinds of music. But enough talk. Let's get into some jazz. So first and foremost, we're going to be taking some chords we already know. So this is more of a beginner video, by the way. And we're going to be changing them slightly to make them sound a little bit more jazzy. In the next video, we're going to be adding walking bass lines to these chords, which sounds very cool. The end result will be something that sounds similar to this. So very, very jazzy sound. Sounds very good. So let's get started by looking at our chords we're going to be changing. The C major open chord, which is our third finger on the third fret of A, our second finger on the second fret of D, and our first finger on the first fret of the B string. That's going to be the first chord we're going to mess with. The next chord is our A minor, which is kind of hard to see. We're going to look at our second finger on the second fret of the D string, our third finger right behind it on the second fret of the G, and then our first finger on the first fret of the B. And our first finger is in the same place as it was for the C chord. There's our A minor. D minor is the next chord we're going to look at. Has our second finger on the second fret of the G, third finger on the third fret of the B, and our first finger on the first fret of the E string. And then the last chord we're going to be looking at is G major, which is our second finger on the third fret of the E string, first finger on the second fret of the A string, and our third or fourth finger, whichever feels easier, probably third, on the third fret of the E string. So the first thing we're going to be doing is taking these four chords and changing them slightly. I'm going to be adding another note to them, which will make it sound more jazzy. So let's start with the C. Now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to lift up our first finger. That gives us a C major 7 chord. It's a very, very beautiful sounding chord. And that's the chord we're going to be using in place of C. Now for the A minor, take our A minor and we're going to lift up our third finger. That's going to give us an A minor 7. That's the second chord we're going to be using. Then go to D minor. This one's a little trickier. What we're going to do is we're going to lift up our third finger, but then we're going to bar our first finger across the first fret of the B and the first fret of the E string. You hear that one sounds really good. It's a minor 7th chord, D minor 7. And then the last chord, G, we're going to turn into a G7 by kind of swapping out our fingers up here. We're going to put our third finger on the third fret of the E string, second finger on the second fret of the A string, and our first finger on the first fret of the other E string. That's a G7. So those are the four chords we're going to be using to play jazz. Let me just play them all in a row so you can hear them. C major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7, and G7. And I'm also using my thumb to pick these. It gives it a more mellow sound. So check out the next video. We're going to be talking about how we can link these four chords together into a walking bass line.